Welcome to Quality of Life Matters, the official podcast of the International Society for Quality of Life Studies. This is your front row seat to the global well-being conversation. Join hosts Lena Martinez and Roger Fernandez-Urbano as they explore cutting-edge research and inspiring ideas that are shaping happiness, well-being, and quality of life.
Welcome to this new session of Quality of Life Matters, the official podcast of ISQOLS. Today, we have the pleasure and the honor to have Talita Greyling. Thank you very much for accepting our offer to participate in the podcast. Talita, how are you?
Roger, thank you for the invitation. Honored to be here.
Fantastic. We will start with one question that we usually ask to all the other speakers. What has been the most interesting finding that you ever found while being a well-being researcher?
Well, the main thing is discovering the essence and the contribution big data and machine learning or AI can have to research.
Wow.
In other words, I can measure things in real time. So I can see that my findings show what happens after Argentina won the World Cup. So I can see it in real time, or South Africa win the rugby in real time, or during COVID, what is the effect? So I've got data
Wow.
in real time before anybody else has access to survey data.
Well, this is something that is quite new because maybe 10 years ago was almost quite difficult to get this real-time data. Well, and now I think that with the AI and machine learning, we can really know something more, no?
Well, the point is that now we've got this wealth of knowledge in big data, social media, searches. So we've got this knowledge and data. And what do we need? To understand anything, you need data. But now it's at our fingertips. You can type in, you've got the data, and then we've got all these methods to analyze it within machine learning. So we can crunch numbers, but big numbers at once.
Wow. Is there any result that when you contrast it with these methods, with the traditional ones, like survey methods, that you say, wow, there's a huge difference, or there is something that I was not expecting? There is something that comes to your mind?
For sure. Normally, if you do any econometrics, you will find certain results, but when you find a result, it is on the average of the people. So it's for the average person.
Yeah, but
So, but with machine learning, your models can look at each individual. So actually, you can see across a whole distribution what each person does. And that was always hidden by previous econometrics. So we learn a lot about heterogeneity. In Africa, the heterogeneity, explaining paradox, previously unknown. Why is Africans always happy, emotionally happy, though the quality of life is not good? So previously we couldn't explain it, but now with the methods in machine learning, where we can actually look at non-linear concepts and certain interactions which you couldn't model in econometrics, we can now answer those questions.
Well, that's amazing and fantastic. Which brings me to another question that's related to this point that you make. What about this highlight about cheerful discontent that you found in your studies in sub-Saharan Africa? Can you maybe develop more about this finding?
Well,
because I think that for the listeners it's quite intriguing. No, it's like a paradox almost. So maybe
This was, it took me very long, because if you use a machine learning model, what you do is you put in the data in the model, and now the data needs to start telling the story. So you use the algorithms to get the data, it's the story. And this was a key question. It was how can people be emotionally happy while they're living in poverty or hard circumstances? And it's a question that many people have tried to solve. But with these methods, we could solve it. And
Wow.
we could actually go into the data so that we could find out what is the difference between people in Africa and, say, people in Europe. Because in Europe, if you're emotionally happy, your life satisfaction is similar. In Africa, the gap is very wide. And the reason that we found is the social support in Africa. So the social support, the community, doing things together, that lifts the spirits. It buffers against your difficult circumstances. For example, that you don't have the perfect house, the perfect car. So the fact that you can be with the community, share all these things, makes that you can be emotionally happy, and not just emotionally happy, but limit the negative emotions. You don't see the stress, you don't see the anger, you don't see the worry that you see in Europe.
Wow, amazing.
Well, that was lovely findings, and I believe I will get the same findings if I'd look at a model for South America or Latin America. I think it's very similar.
I think that the research of Professor Mariano Rojas precisely points to this direction, that precisely thanks to the type of social relationships that are less instrumental, like in more individualistic countries, more collectivistic, people is much more happier than they should be, given their socioeconomic circumstances.
Rojas and Veenhoven actually looked at this paradox as well, but they looked at correlations, and they didn't have these tools that we have now, so we couldn't go into it much deeper. But they started this question about the paradox. So
that's amazing.
Research.
Now, I would like to move, Talita, if you allow me, to a related topic, because we have so many things to talk. How do you think that artificial intelligence in general is going to affect people's well-being in the everyday lives? Because a lot of people now is getting more affected by it, by asking ChatGPT many personal questions, giving ChatGPT the authority to take decisions about their personal lives. How do you think? And all these algorithms, that they always are kind of, influencing us every day.
The question is, people are concerned about it. They're concerned about AI and the effects in the future. If I think about it, it's the same as the Industrial Revolution. It has a major effect. It changed the world. The way people produced goods changed. We've got a new Industrial Revolution. So the one thing is, we can't step backwards.
No.
What we need to know is how to use it to our benefit. Even as well-being researchers, how do you use an AI? If we speak about ChatGPT, it's a large language model trying to understand the words people speak. Now, what is well-being economics or well-being is we also understand how people feel, what they speak, what are they actually saying. So the point is, use those models. Don't be scared of it. Use it. And the point is, artificial intelligence, AI, try to be a human mind. They're not there yet because we are the humans. So we have so much potential in our brains. We are really so smart. So we can use it, use the tool, just like Industrial Revolution, use it.
So I guess that then you will not agree, like Yuval Noah Harari in the book of Nexus or Sapiens, that he says that the artificial intelligence is going to use us, and at some point it's going to kill all of us or extinguish us. Do you think that this is exaggerated? That has no... So there are a lot of reasons to be much more positive than negative about how this revolution that now we are witnessing.
I think we should always be reasonable.
Okay.
I think there's always somebody that will go to the other side and say, oh, it's going to kill all of us. But there's many things that can kill us. We can have a third world war.
That's true.
So live in the moment, see what we have now, use what we have now. If you're so concerned about the future, you're going to miss the potential of today.
That's true. Which brings me to another related question. That is, if you can tell us a bit more about the gross national happiness index that you have worked a lot with.
So we started a project where we can measure happiness in almost real time. So you call it nowcasting. Normally, if you have a survey, you can only see the results a year or 2 years after the survey. So we're working with history. We don't need history today. Everything is, pace is much faster. So what we need is something to see what's happening now. So with gross national happiness, we had a measure where we could take from text, the emotion, we analyzed the emotion, and we could give a score to it. So it's natural language processing and analyze the aggregate emotion in a country in real time.
Wow.
So this project became big because it was the first time it's ever been done in the
Totally.
world. And even up to now, it's something really, there's nobody else doing it. So it's something that we do. We've changed our methods, refined our methods, and it's really important to know this thing for research, for example, COVID, that you know in the moment, how did the people feel? What are their emotions? Or are they angry? Are they sad? Are they worried? So that you know, because for policymakers, if they can read the emotion, they can also see what will happen in the, what will be the reactions. I've got a new law that I want to implement. If I announce it, what do the people say? Are they resistant? Should I be? So it gives you a lot of knowledge. So that's the Gross National Happiness.today project. And now we've built it around the Center for Wellbeing, AI and Social Impact. So it's now part of the center. And the center is about using AI to progress well-being of people. So that's the whole idea.
Fascinating. And I also see that a lot of policymakers at the most local levels, but also in international organizations, could be very interested in really in using this index for, well, to see what's going on. I think it's revolutionary, really. Have you talked with some governments or that maybe have been interested in that, or do you see a potential for them in the future to use it?
I actually did, because it's a leading indicator. It's not just a leading indicator how people act, but also how markets act. I've actually looked at what is the ability to predict what markets will do, stock markets.
Yeah, it's an anticipation also, no, of the what's going to happen.
Leads, where you have the behavior of people can actually predict what happens in the market. So we found that is 51% of the time we are correct, but with 51% we make money. You can actually do. So speaking to different, the OECD already had me as a speaker in their forums explaining these methodologies.
Wow.
So there is definitely interest, and of various sources, even with the World Happiness Report, we now did a whole section on, well, you know, on the social media, but also looking at what the machine learning methods will inform you about.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Also, I think it's a way to democratize the society, because if politicians can really follow in real time what's going on, it's also a way to say, okay, this we are doing this in the right direction or not, or maybe we should slightly modify it and maybe legislate in another direction. This is amazing. Could you also tell us a bit more about the All Happiness Report chapter that you wrote this year with the other ISQOLS members?
Well, the first thing is the art research was so interesting because we did it about the Middle Eastern countries and North Africa, which is a region that's really under-researched.
Totally.
And which I didn't know much about, and which I would love to find out more, because it's a very different culture and a different approach. Surprisingly, they are the biggest users of social media.
No way.
They are.
Really?
Of all the continents, the biggest users of media, social media, and also interesting, for example, men use it more than women. And the effect of the other part of that I found really interesting is the monitoring of their social media. So you just get the evaluation from the people, but they are worried about how governments monitor their social media, which is probably true for other continents. Maybe the people aren't aware of it, but you can see this little bit of tension. So our findings was very interesting. Also, then on the youth, it had a bigger effect. Although Gen Z were able to use it actually much more than many of the other older groups. So they use it more, and in some instances, if they use it moderately, it contributes to their well-being. If they overuse, we see the negative effects.
So, Talita, now that we are finishing, would you like to add any last reflection, any comment that people that maybe is not familiar with the scientific research of happiness that, I don't know, you would like to
Well,
say, to tell them that maybe it can be useful for them, I don't know, or any other thing that you would like to say?
well, for me, the main thing is that we need to move with the times. So social media, different types of artificial intelligence is there to stay. So find a way to regulate it, find a way to control it in some way, but accept the fact that it is there and rather use it to your benefit than think about all the negative things about it.
It's a fantastic last remark. So, Talita, thank you very much for accepting to participate in Quality of Life Matters. And I hope that you can come in the future and we can interview you again about your most findings.
Thank you very much for the invite. And as soon as I find new things to share, I will let you know.
Thank you. See you soon.